Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'll let people come in, so if people can kind of sit forward a little bit and let people come in at the back, they won't disturb us as they go. So welcome to this session on managed security services and the evolution of the channel. My name is Paul Hearns. I've been a journalist and commentator in or around IT for more than 20 years. And this is my third year doing this session at this event. So the evolution of managed services in particular and their effects in the broader changing channel is something of particular interest and has been a very lively topic as we go. So we have quite a packed session this afternoon. So we'll get through as quickly as possible. So just in terms of our running order, first of all, we're going to have SonicWall, and their presentation is Securing Tomorrow, Navigating the Channel Evolution with Managed Security Services. That's going to be Daniel Carr, the Territory and Account Manager for Ireland. Then we're going to have Optiga, and Colin Wright, Channel Sales Director from EMEA and APAC, is going to be talking MSPs to simplify, monitor, and secure 365. Then we're going to have Bitdefender and Michael Reeves, the Technical Director for Cloud and MSP, about managed security services and round-clock capabilities. Don't be caught sleeping. Then we're going to have uSecure and Lorna Berman, Partnership and Distribution Manager, and uSecure's winning formula for human risk management. So again, the human in the equation. Then we're going to round out with Centripetal and Adele D'Souza, Director of Field and Partner Marketing for EMEA, leveraging intelligence-powered cybersecurity for margin and much more. So I'll do a more fulsome introduction on each of the individual topics as we go, but just to say that we have 15 minutes scheduled at the end for a Q&A, and I'm really looking forward to allowing people to ask questions because there's so much interesting stuff there. So if you have something that you absolutely need to ask the speaker, do stick up your hand and they will address you. But generally, we'll try and keep the questions to the end and we'll get through as many of those as possible. So just in terms of kind of setting the context for this session, there was a comment recently from Peter Oppenheim, the head of macro research at Goldman Sachs. And he said that we're currently in a super cycle of development in technology and industry, powered by the AI wave, but also by influences like decarbonization. And that kind of idea of a super cycle of development driven by external forces can be applied to the threat landscape as well. So we're seeing that there's lots more digital tools being brought to bear in terms of the black hats and what they're doing. And we saw just this morning the breakup of the Lamppost ring, which used SMS messaging to dupe users and particularly to interrupt things like two-factor authentication cycles for profit, essentially. And that was widespread and distributed, and it was an as-a-service offering. So essentially, zero technical knowledge necessary to set up one of these scams. But all that's been further exacerbated by the geopolitical situation, whereby you have nation states or you have their supporters targeting individual groups or even companies that are perceived as being on one side or the other of these various situations. But also then you have the developments around things like digital assets, tokenization, decentralized finance, and lots of new fintech developments that are attracting their own particular type of unwanted attention and threats. So there's never been a greater need for a managed service to wrap around these things, to take away the burden, but also to provide the levels of intelligence, the levels of expertise of large organizations for small organizations and everything in between. So AI has impacted here as well, not so much in terms of the workloads that are being used, but AI is now being baked in as a layer in so many different security offerings as well. So AI and machine learning in combination is working to automate more and to make more autonomous capability in these services. So essentially, more protection with less hands-on, and all delivered as a service. And of course, that has had massive impact on the channel generally, because the move to being service providers and to being a different form of vendor than simply selling a product and then selling an upgrade or selling a new version has fundamentally changed the channel. And managed security services is one that's moving so fast, and there are so many new areas being introduced into it because of these new technological capabilities, that it's really at the forefront of the changes that are being seen. So that's why I'm particularly interested in having as much Q&A time at the end as possible, because there's so many avenues to explore in this. But coming back then to our presentations, I would like to invite Daniel Carr, Territory Account Manager for Ireland for SonicWall, and he's going to talk about managed security providers and comprehensive protection and navigating that evolving channel. So we will skip on to your first slide.
So I guess a little bit to begin with, my name's Daniel Carr. I've been with SonicWall for 10 years. SonicWall has been around for over 30 years in the cybersecurity industry, probably best known for firewall technology. There's probably a handful of people, if not most of you, that have heard of us in one form or another. We're a global company with over 5,000 customers worldwide in 215 countries. As I said, over 30 years of experience in the industry. Our portfolio is very much developed, I guess, and a lot of it around the managed services piece in more recent years, but we moved from firewall technology out to become an end-to-end cybersecurity company in the time that I've been with them. We utilize our threat intelligence globally on a yearly basis to give you guys a threat report, so we can, being a global company and having products and services spread across, we're able to correlate a lot of data, threat intelligence, and that's distilled a couple of times a year into a threat report, which I would urge anybody who hasn't seen it before to come down to the stand, and we'll show you how to download that. It's not product centric, it's more just kind of industry and data, give you an idea of what we're seeing, not just through our customers, but our products and services as to trends in the cybersecurity landscape. We are 100% channel based, which means that we deal with businesses directly from a conversation point of view. We take the route of enabling our partner base to upskill them and to deliver the services. A lot of those, as you'll see later in some of the slides, that becoming more on a managed services side of things versus just simply shifting a box and installing it for you. And in recent years, we've become an innovator with patented technology within our products that differentiate us, I guess, from the competition, and helps us to identify threats that haven't been seen before in the wild. At the start of this year, we, along with the threat research report that we released, we also looked to survey our customer base globally. And part of that was analysing customers in Ireland to see what their thoughts were around, the evolution of the managed services sector, changing from being maybe a value-added reseller to encompassing more products and services in there. And a lot of this is driven by, cybercrime is going nowhere, and you probably know that already. I'm not telling you anything new. It's set to increase quite considerably in 2024. Compromising of the likes of account takeover, ransomware, which has been obviously very popular, and cloud security and third-party breaches. Interestingly, 88%, which is quite a high number of executives that we spoke to, had seen some sort of an increase in attacks over the last couple of years. A lot of which have resulted in huge amounts of money being handed over, and obviously we're in the industry trying to stop that from happening. The pandemic obviously had a huge impact on things. I think it's changed massively the way that businesses look at cybersecurity. The sheer amount of technologies that need to be required to give that multiple layers of security to keep your business protected, there's a challenge around supporting them. And where we've seen businesses with traditional internal IT teams during and after the pandemic, with the spread of technology going outside of like your traditional on-site, has meant that their expertise has been stretched, and they've leaned on managed services then from that point of view. What's driving it? I mean, increase in cybersecurity threats, it's a bit of a given one. It's only gone in one direction. It's the cybercrime is the third largest economy in the world now, behind the US and China, and that's not going to change. But what I've seen from speaking to customers a huge amount more in the last couple of years is around regulation and compliance and cybersecurity insurance. I'm sure everybody in this room have come across these challenges, if not one, both, over the last while. And with this, a huge amount of workload that comes with filling out insurance, applications and applying for regulatory kind of compliance. And again, coming back to the managed services piece, the partners that we deal with now are taking on a lot more of those conversations and being asked to do a lot more of the heavy lifting when it comes to these things, simply from an experience and knowledge base. Things like cloud adoption and remote workforce. On the back of the pandemic especially, we've seen businesses move from being traditionally behind a network that can protect them and being dispersed out, hybrid workforces coming and going from the office and needing to be secure. The data, those users need to be secure as they travel. And a huge burst in IoT technologies as well. Anything that's connected to the internet is a potential gateway for a threat actor. And that can be from a thermometer on a tank to a CCTV camera to, smart speakers, you name it, fobs, get in and out of car parks. Anything along those lines, if it's connected to the internet or if it's storing any kind of company data, then obviously it's a threat. In Ireland, managed services revenue generated through the channel, we've seen over the last couple of years increase quite considerably, 1.1 billion in Ireland alone. And that saw an increase in the transacting partners that we had from a managed services point of view up to 3,157, which represented a 9% increase in those partners delivering managed services versus traditional resale of technologies. And that's an 8.8 year change on the previous year. And interestingly, those MSPs, what their content of services that they're selling is over 50%, 15% of those partners. The revenue that they're making from managed services is 50% plus of what they're making. So there's a real shift to partners looking to get away from even users knowing what technology they're using. I just simply pay for a service that encompasses everything that they need from that managed service provider. So with the predictions that we see I'm not going to go through each one, but the predictions for this year that we've seen from speaking to customers, total managed services revenue increasing 12% in 2024. Interesting, 50% MSPs operating an ecosystem model, which will see them partnering or co-partnering with vendors such as ourselves. And I've seen over the last 10 years, the evolution of Sonoball in our portfolio is way more geared towards how we enable partners to be able to deliver their services, and the programs that we need to put in place to enable them has changed drastically from when I first started them, when the technology that Sonoball were selling maybe 15 or 20 years ago. MSP partners will become more widespread, and compliance consulting services, which lends itself again coming back to the likes of cyber insurance and compliance conversations that are driving IT. Those are being passed on to the MSP from a services point of view. At least 3 vendors in the RMM and PSA space will be acquired by 2025. And actually, we're seeing a huge amount more in the MSP and channel side of things. So there's a lot more businesses coming together to fill gaps in services that they're being asked for from their customer base. And they're starting to make acquisitions instead of just trying to upskill, because the sheer volume and change in this side of things is too vast and too quick. And again, that kind of leads on to cybersecurity managed services growing as well. When we asked our customer base, how much growth do you expect in your managed services revenue in 24 compared to 23? Interestingly, nearly was 56%. I see over 11% growth, which is a huge amount in that space. And 20% of those are seeing even more, between 10 and 20%. So it's not just growing, it's growing rapidly. And year on year, expect these numbers to increase. Obviously, cybersecurity is a massive part of this. The complexity of it alone means that businesses are looking to MSPs, and that's reflected in when we speak to our customers, that growth, 34% of them said that they expect a growth of 20%, and how customers have changed the number of cybersecurity vendors that they're working with is also a significant amount, 31 and 28% between small increase and large increase. Again, showing the shift from traditional means into managed services and the requirement to be able to, for businesses to be able to provide that level of service. How important is the MSP program? When we ask that question, and an overwhelming really response to that, and that 69% of our channel partners said that how they interact with a vendor is going to be key for them going forward. Their ability to be able to consume the products and services that a company like SonicWall provide, to be able to be flexible, to be able to fit into their customer needs, to scale up and scale down, and to have something that is able to enable their workforce and also drive revenue into their businesses. So businesses coming back to us are saying that that's obviously a very key factor who they work with going forward. And you'll see certainly from SonicWall's point of view, the changes that we've made over the last number of months to cater for that. It's been mentioned earlier on, and I'd say probably gets mentioned in most sessions, AI, generative AI, how it's being used just from a business point of view, from a consumer point of view, but also from a partner and MSP point of view, to reduce the workloads, to be able to automate a huge amount. We see SonicWall have used artificial intelligence in our threat research for nearly 20 years. We didn't really kind of talk about it a huge amount until it became more of a forefront topic. We obviously utilize those kind of technologies to be able to streamline the amount of data that we have and to be able to process it, to put it into kind of, understandable terms, and build it into our technologies to make it easier for us to be able to work and to be able to deliver the services that we need to do. We rebooted or launched our partner program, again, to kind of cater for the change in the landscape at the start of this year. And part of that was to listen more to our partner base and our customer base. I was lucky enough to have the VP of our product management in Dublin this time last year to meet 20, 30 of our partners. There's not many businesses that are able to do that, to get the decision makers within a company to listen directly to, the people that make the most amount of impact, and to say, what they needed from us. And you'll see it in the acquisitions that SonicWall have made over the last 6 months, is to cater for those conversations. We've had multiple follow-ups with VPs and those partners, to be able to not just to make suggestions, but to put those suggestions into practice, and see how they can ultimately become products and services that we do. So the outside in approach has very much been a change in tack from us as a business over the last while. We've expanded our provide programs, so you'll see the likes of any of our products and services are now available on a monthly basis to our partner base, but also to customers, and to do more of this, to be more in front of yourselves, to have more conversations face to face with businesses, to understand where their challenges are coming from, and also to learn off industry peers, and to improve. This is more for the partner side of things versus business in the room, is to be able to give value back into the business as well alongside these programs. One of the acquisitions that we made in November last year, Solutions Granted, initially a North American based company providing NBR and wraparound services to our technologies. So again, feeding more into the managed services conversation, and allowing us to open doors that we didn't have before. This acquisition is made in November. We expect it to be online in Europe by the middle of this year. For anybody who would be interested in having kind of a conversation more around that side of things, the MDR piece, obviously drop down to the stand. But it's showing how we're pivoting from, I guess, being product-centric to more services-centric, as a business going forward. The other acquisition that we made was Banyan. Apologies for the bad slides, the one that they had. Banyan are a VPN as a service, so zero trust technology. Quite important these days as users have moved outside of traditional networks and are moving towards more of a hybrid workforce, for us to be able to connect those users with the right amount of security wherever they may be and wherever they connect with. Banyan was acquired in January of this year, and again will come online later in the year. So what we offer from a service provider point of view is the ability to be able to be flexible consumption models, CapEx, to be able to scale up and scale down, to be able to add a user to a business in a matter of minutes and have them up and running. Obviously invoicing and arrears previous to, as you spin up a user that you're getting billed afterwards. And obviously that revenue going towards the partner program and enabling business partners to move up through the ranks, earn more discount, and work closer with us as well. Just a quick overview of the products that are available on the partner program. Capture Client being our endpoint, but we cover hosted email security, cloud application security like Office 365 was a layer of security in their G Suite, secure mobile access where the acquisition of Banyan fits into, network security and virtual firewalls as well. Not going into it anymore, but I mean, if there's anyone in the room who wants to know more about these technologies, please give us a shout afterwards. And I guess in summary, we've shifted, we've listened as a business to where the requirement is, and we're trying to move into that space to, I guess, to be able to work closer. And that's it from me.
All right, so we're going to talk about Optega-based, a Galway-based company, operates throughout the world, and all we do is monitor, support, and ensure you simplify your 365 environment. Okay, we know it's not easy to manage, so we're looking to simplify that and help you in a context. We don't have to put the most senior engineer onto managing fairly mundane tasks. We get it into this process. So imagine you're bringing on, let me step back a few years. Anybody remember when we started virtualizing servers? Oh, we took a physical server, and if that was a poor physical server, what did we do? We virtualized that poor physical server, and it turned into a poor virtual server. So imagine you're looking to bring on a tenant, or you're looking to outsource your 365 environment, and you're looking to bring that into a context of an MSP managed estate. So if it's not a well-platformed, well-developed solution around 365, what do? You're just doing exactly the same. You're bringing a bad environment into a bad environment for someone else to manage. So this is what we look to create. We look to create a baseline. So we look to do a gap analysis of everything on your estate. You install nothing. You go to the microsite, you click on Try Now on a website. You can see in 20 minutes whether this works for you. And we do a gap analysis. And it looks at all the open holes, everything you have in 365, and it'll make a recommendation when you bring it into our solution to say, this is a baseline. So we're going to give you a baseline, a good baseline in terms of a template to manage that estate. So we're going to lock all the doors. But the exception is the absolute rule nowadays. So if you have a tenant or you have an aspect, you want them to be open, you want them to have MFA access or something specific, you allow that. But you don't have to understand the nuances of 365. You don't have to allocate a level 3 engineer to do that. We'll go through it. So imagine having a template, baseline diff, that difficult to manage a state of a Microsoft environment. In essence, I don't really need to do too many other slides apart from this one. Look at that guy on the left. So you're managing, you're firefighting, not strategizing ways you move forward. So we de-risk everything in a 365 environment. You go to the website, you click, you put your Microsoft credentials, we don't download anything, we look at that gap analysis, we put that in place, and now you can manage multiple tenants simply. If you have one tenant, it's fairly easy to manage 365. You start to add 2, 3, 4, 5, it becomes a nightmare. And there's no sign of Microsoft looking to fix this or move forward. So, you know, I'd argue that most people have probably got those square wheels and trying to manage 365, because that's what we've grown up on, that's what we have. But we simplify all of that to make it easy that every single one of us in this room that doesn't really understand 365, we can now manage that environment. So I'm de-risking. I'm taking the expensive guys and putting them into an area where they should be focused. So out of the box baseline templates, visual, red, amber, green, entry-level engineers, locking down outside in particular geo. And to a point earlier on in judgment, that we can see anybody's got a PSA, whether it's Datto, whether it's ConnectWise, it will flag. Anything that's out of kilter with that template that you put in place will flag straight away. If they say, for instance, I've got this group, or I only want to give them access in Dublin, that's it. Now it would flag to say, hey, they've come in from Belgium or Nigeria, and they gained access. In the next 2 weeks, that's locked down, so they will not come in. So you are allowing a template to say that particular group of users, they can't come in from Nigeria or from Ukraine or Afghanistan or anything else. So really locking down and simplifying that 365 environment. So the ability to onboard new clients in minutes. You don't have to go out and do weeks and weeks of due diligence. You've got a 365 environment, you bring that on in 20 minutes. You manage that. You're now able to offer a platinum level of support to a customer. Now, if you look at, I don't expect anybody to put their hands up to this, but offboarding a customer, offboarding a user has left the company. How many times do we see that 3 months later, that user's access is still there? He's still able to access the system. So automate that process, put that into its instance. Auto-remediate that template. So when that user leaves, it automatically takes them out of absolutely everything. New user comes on board, a contractor comes on board. Let me tie that down. Let me give them access to 365 for 3 months. 3 months, that's going to remove them completely from the system. So you don't have to worry about going into AD, Azure AD, or doing everything from that context. So it really is a one-click remediation of everything in 365 and simplifying the whole process. We'll go through. So these are Rob's slides. My apologies, our CEO was due to come, so these are his slides. And this is back to one tenant to manage or one estate to manage. It's fairly okay to do. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and adding more and more, it becomes a logistical nightmare. So we take that headache away by overlaying over 365 and giving you complete control of that system by buying you time and saving money in that environment. So I'll just go through some consoles just to see how simple it is. So no command line interface, so no deep skills required, no technical skills required. You can create absolutely everything. In terms of in-tune baselines, one-click remediation, gap analysis of what's open in that customer environment, custom reports. So white label reports at the end of the week, at the end of the day, at the end of the month. That report comes out, shows a complete standard green straight line with no deviations. So you can see my system is protected. It isn't email security. It's a security aspect of 365. So say, for instance, we've got a group of SMT printers. I need to give access to those, but let's just give access to those individual people. And maybe let's remove that after 2 weeks when that system finished. Or that group of users, the CEO, he doesn't want MFA on his phone. And he's the guy who pays the bills, so let's not ensure that he has MFA. Try and think of how you do these things in a manual context in 365. So you can offer more value to customers. At a minute, as an MSP, you may offer bronze, silver, and gold. This could offer a platinum level, being able to take out and guarantee 100% security reporting management of a 365 environment. Up here's roadmap. You know, we're very open to show, look, there's our roadmap in every console. So you can see exactly what's coming along in terms of content. Auto remediation is just, that's why I see our current companies adding that today. So the ability, we've set a template for that particular tenant. But now we're going, any drift from that template, we're just pulling that straight fast. We link into Data, ConnectWise, Halo, so any of those PSA solutions. So we see any baseline drift that is going to flag straight away as a ticket in your system. Doesn't matter if you're 20 users or 200 users or 2,000 users, 365 can open up for future poll into the environment. Simple to use console, pawned check underneath as well, so we can create a report to say, just check all these emails maybe once a day, once an hour, to show me exactly what context and who's at the open door and who's left the business. And here's part of the report. You white label the report, we send that out however you want, whatever details you want into that environment, and that drops onto relevant person's desk once a week, once a day. Templates. Now, templates can come straight out the box, and you can go, okay, 90% of MSPs would use our standard template. But you're going to have multiple tenants, perhaps, and go, actually, I want something different. I want an exception to that. And the exception for us is standard. That's the rule. So you can set as the base template for that individual group or that individual user or that tenant, and then you can add or create your own templates inside the system with no deep knowledge or skills of 365. Or graphical content, alerts for 7 days. What we want to see, in essence, is green everywhere. Geotagging. So this is the console that shows me everywhere that I've created a role to show me who's coming in from those areas. I don't want to see anything come in from Nigeria. So at the moment, it will alert us and tell us, hey, we've had a person log in from here. He's downloaded this file. He's opened this. So we have a file audit system log into that. But reality is, why are they coming in the first place? So we're adding that context to lock them down. Oliver may be going to the UK for a trip, so let's put that in. He's there for 2 weeks for business. So let's lock in and say, let's give him access to that system, perhaps around Birmingham and London, that's it. And anything else outside of that, lock it down. So you can offer that control to the end users inside your environment. So it makes you look like a superstar to some of these companies. Geotagging per city. You know, we have a developer in Ukraine that we've locked in down to a certain area. Now, if he wants to offer, because there's certain nuances in that country, as we're all aware of, if he wants to go to another town, he messages in, and we open up in there to another town, so no one can get access to that. And that's the town he can now go into and start developing from there. Location rules, everything in there. Context, PSA integrations, as I've said. Solutions. Our customers are very happy. Hopefully they're happy. We have a high conversion rate of customers who try the product. Literally, you go to a website, click try now, and you'll know in 20 minutes, is this right? Does it work? Does it solve the needs of 365 security? We hope it does. And in terms of reference sites, there's plenty of reference sites here in Ireland, in the UK, whichever territory we need to go for. Try for free. Again, just click on and go through. And in essence, what we're trying to show is what we think 365 should be. It's a great solution, but it should be easier to use. It should be easier to lock down. It should be easier to onboard and offboard. And that's what we've created by overlaying into 365, that ability that every user now can grow 365 with confidence offboard. And I don't expect any hands to go up here, but how many people have seen a user leave the company and that access to the system is still open? I see it in majority of organizations because it is a nightmare to offboard. So why not just write one click and remove that user from the entire system? So we take away all the gaping holes. So with that, I didn't want to go through too much context of product in depth. Just show you that this is an easy to use solution that will really enhance what you do in 365 and take an awful lot of pain away. And you can prove us wrong in about 20 minutes by going, looking at it and go, well, you either spun me a line or it's completely true. And I think it's completely true. It revolutionizes what you're doing with 365. And it's well costed as well. So it's not going to break the bank for any of your organization. The amount of time it will generate and bring back to your business is incalculable in terms of development time, in terms of technical people. And that's what we've done.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Reeds. I am the technical director with Bitdefender, and We're going to talk a little bit about managed security services, but more importantly, I'm going to talk about how you can secure your environment. I think I've been in the industry a long time, since the mid-90s. My career started in the Fortune 50. So I handled three customers back then. American Express, some of you may have heard of them, DHL, and then Honeywell. And what I noticed about the security industry, we were built to address that type of clientele. So we complicate a lot of security, and when you move into the small, medium business and into the MSP space, it can become kind of overwhelming. So we're going to talk about first, whether you're using Bitdefender or not, how you can secure your customers' environments. I think that is our job number one, because cyber criminals have become automated over the last 10 years, and that has created havoc in your customer base. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to simplify the floor downstairs for you, and in fact, the entire security industry in a couple of slides. So let's start it this way. So when I think about security, there are basically three things that you have to do as a corporation. Whether you are a managed service provider, small, medium business, your own home, or your American Express, you basically have to say three things. And I liken this to how many of you, and I always love asking this question all over the world, how many of you have a vehicle? Because some people don't have vehicles anymore. Okay, so for those of you that have a vehicle, I want you to think about, and how many of you drove your vehicle here? Awesome. Okay, I want you to think about your vehicle right now. Okay? So think about it in the parking lot, and I want you to think about, did you leave your vehicle looking like this? And if not, why not? Okay? The first thing that we do naturally when we get out of our vehicle and go into any location, or we leave our vehicle in any way, shape, or form, we always close the doors and we roll up the windows, and we usually lock them. Think about why you do that. Or this to me. Bad. Now, what's the second thing that you did after you left your vehicle? And I qualify this now because I had somebody ask me about this who had an old beat-up pickup truck that he did not care if anybody took his truck. Okay? So the second thing that you do if you have a vehicle of value that you want to protect, what is the second thing you did before coming into this room? I would suggest that you probably turned on your alarm system, did you not? Awesome. Think about why you have an alarm system in your car. Now, if both of these fail, now you get into the interesting part of security that creates challenges for all of us. Okay? And that is, if somebody bypasses your alarm system and is now getting into your vehicle, okay? Your alarm is now going off. You now enter the third aspect of you trying to defend that vehicle, okay? And that is, you have a choice. You either run out to your vehicle, if someone's breaking into your vehicle, we call that self-defense or self-managed defense. Or what's the second option that you have? You call police, right? But a human has to respond to that incident because your first two security controls have been bypassed. I will submit to you, this is the entire security industry in a nutshell. Every security company on the planet falls into one, two, or three of those areas. They are designed to either do the first area, which is harden your vehicle. And by the way, when I came into the small, medium business space and the MSP space, by the way, I love this space. There's just great people here. Okay, that's why I stayed. We are terrible at this. As an industry, the difference between, let's say, American Express and MSP space, small, medium business, is not the people, it's not the technology, it's the fact that we just do not do this. We literally leave our car doors wide open for criminals to get into. It is very easy to get into our destinations remotely over the internet, even with all the security products that we have. Why? Because we just didn't close our doors. What we do is we buy really good alarm systems, okay? We call this automated protection. Automated security controls, things that can detect and respond to incidents or threats in our customers' environments and do it on an automated way. Okay, most of the industry is built on that, and we buy a lot of that. Okay? If both of those fail, then we get into what we're going to talk about a little bit later, which is managed detection and response, or the human response of that. That is where EDR, XDR, managed detection response, or MDR all fall, is in this third area of security. So we're pretty good at automated protection in the middle. We are terrible at the first area, and then we are getting better in the third area. But I want you to think about, if you don't remember anything else, you can go out and spend a ton of resources and money in areas 2 and area 3, but if you don't solve area number 1, it's like somebody going into the parking lot and seeing a bunch of cars with their car doors wide open and their trunks open. But they got really good alarm systems. Okay? That is the state of the nation right now. Okay? So I'm going to encourage you, if you don't remember anything else I say, I'm going to encourage you to think about ways that you can harden your environment. Okay? There's some very simple steps that you can take to just close the doors and lock them before you turn on your alarm systems and you hire the police. Okay? All right, so let's talk about each one of these 3, and then I'll close up shop. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what Bitdefender does in this analyze your environment and harden it. When I came to Bitdefender 4 years ago, this is actually what impressed me. We got great tech, but when I saw what we did here, I used to sell those 3 companies millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in software and people resources that did nothing but analyze and harden their environments. And then I saw what Bitdefender does, and I went, oh my gosh, we give this away for every single Bitdefender deployment globally, and this is actually what impressed me. I actually didn't believe this at first. It took me about 3 months to analyze what we were doing, and I went, oh my gosh, this is actually legit. So let me tell you a little bit about what Bitdefender does in this environment. So built into our agent that's deployed in your environments, we analyze about 1,800 different areas of risk in your customer environment, and we do it automatically. You tick a box in a policy, and we turn on this engine, and about 20 seconds, you can do it once a day, once a week, once a month, however you want to schedule it. It takes about 20 to 30 seconds, and we will analyze the risk in your customer environment. Think about this as we used to describe this in those large companies as the attack surface of our company. This is your attack surface, and we break it down into 3 different areas. We look at your misconfigurations from your operating system to your networking, those types of misconfiguration, your group policies, things like that. And then we look at applications that have corresponding CVEs associated with them, so you actually probably need to patch your environment, and here's why. And then we also look at your user base, and we show you things like, do your users use the same password on multiple websites? Which never happens, okay? Are they using old passwords, weak passwords? You may have spent the last year deploying policies associated with this. Are your users actually doing the policies or not? This will tell you in one stream, okay? Then when you drill in, we will actually break it down for you, high, medium, and low risks. So what I normally recommend for managed service providers that are using our product is filter by high and start knocking these out of your environment. What are you doing when you're doing that? you are basically closing the doors to your businesses. Okay? Very, very simple. Look at it as a project that can happen over the next 12 months, will pay dividends. What you don't want is criminals to have very easy access into your environments. Okay. So that's the first area. Second area, let's talk about automated protection. This is where Bitdefender gained a lot of its fame in the industry. The reason why is because we have about 37 active security controls in your environment, all at the same time. So what this means is, for those of you, this is where I talk a little bit about sports. So how many sports people do I have here? Awesome, we have a few sports people, all right. If I tell you, let's say you're football fans, or are we talking early? What are we talking here? Football? All right, I'll talk football. So what if I came to you and said, hey, for this game, you're gonna be able to, as a coach, we're gonna be able to put 37 guys on the pitch. Okay, without knowing anything about the people, okay? Would you say the defense would be better in that game or worse or the same if you had 37 people on the pitch? This is not a trick question. Would it be a better defense? Yes, it would. Okay? Especially if the offense has 11, right? Okay? Now think about this. From a defense's, this is a security principle. The more security controls you have operating in a given environment at the same time, the better your security, period, end of story. Okay. So if you're using a product, and most products in the industry have about 20 to 24 security controls active. Bitdefender has 37. That's why we normally win the awards in this area. It's not a secret. We're not doing any magic. We just have more security controls. And if you want to know more about these security controls, come talk to us in our booth. I'll talk to you about each of these. So let's talk about the third area, which is the human area. This is the hot topic now, where we talk about endpoint detection response, extended detection response, that's what XDR is, and then managed detection response. Now, what you see on your screen there is what's been in our product for about 2 years. So this year, I predicted it last year. I predicted early last year the industry was going to start talking about artificial intelligence. Okay? I was bound to be there because there were articles talking about how criminals are already using this technology against your customer base. So I thought, well, the security industry is probably going to move there. And sure enough, at the end of last year, I was at a bunch of conferences and everybody was talking about all the AI they're going to roll out into their products this year. Bitdefender's been doing this for 2 years. So we already have AI. The screen that you see generated there is all done by AI. And let me explain to you what we're doing here. We're pulling telemetry from your endpoints, from Azure AD, from Google, from AWS, from your network, and we are normalizing it on our platform. We are correlating it on our platform, and then we use an AI engine to tell you exactly what is happening in your environment in plain English. So we tell you what assets are impacted by this single incident. Notice that we're not showing you 150 incidents across your environment that you have to put together. We actually correlate all the telemetry for you and show you one incident. And then we tell you all the objects that are associated with that incident, and we tell you in plain English what is happening. For those of you that love MITRE, we map this all to your MITRE techniques right here. And then for those that are non-security personnel, we tell them we recommend that you take the following actions. And you can literally click this link, click execute, and click save, and you're done. You've just responded to that incident. For those of you that love visualization like me, this is what it looks like if you click one tab over. Same incident, and we will show you how everything correlates to each other. If you drill into any one of these, you can take actions associated with them. So you can isolate a host on a network, you can kill processes, you can disable users in Azure AD or Active Directory. You can kill email directly out of Office 365, G Suite. You can literally take actions by clicking buttons. And if you don't know what you're doing, we will guide you with AI. Makes it very, very simple. These are our data sources right now. We categorize them in 4 different areas. Again, all of these are integrated, and in about 30 days, you're going to see mobile in here as well, because we have mobile. So if you want iOS, Android, or Chromebooks, you're going to see that correlated as well. Okay. So what if you don't want to do any of this? I call this running out to your car and getting the criminal out of your car, and we'll give you the tools to do that. Okay? But what if you don't want to do any of that? And or, better question, do you have people, resources that are available 24 by 7 by 365? Because criminals are 24 by 7 by 365. So if you don't have those resources, then you employ what we call MDR foundations. This is where Bitdefender will do your defense for you in your customer. Okay? This is not an alerting service. We do not call you and say there's a criminal in your car. I like it as to phoning the police, and then the police phoning you like 30 seconds later saying there's a criminal in your car, go do something about it. That's not what we do. We actually take action. In fact, so much so, and this is how easy it is to onboard our SOC, by the way. There's nothing to deploy. It's done instantaneously. You tick a box in a licensing, you click save, you are now onboarded into our security operations center. For us, it's a mapping exercise. We own the platform. It's all integrated. So it's instantaneous onboarding. We want you to do 2 things. Tell us who to call when we've responded to an incident. And then we want you to fill out what we are allowed to do in your customer base. We list out all of our actions that we will take. And they're all turned on by default. And if you don't want us to take an action, tell us not to take an action. And that is it. You now have pre-approved actions. Our team will take responsive actions on your behalf, and we will call you within 30 minutes of one of our responses. That is if you want to get out of that business. So again, onboarding within minutes, I have to say that because of our SLA, it's actually instantaneous. You're going to get an email within minutes that basically says, welcome to MDR. And we want you to log in and put in your contacts and tell us what actions we're not allowed to take. There are no minimum endpoint requirements. So if you have a customer that has 3 endpoints, we will manage the security for that customer. Okay, it's built for small, medium business. There's no minimum time commitments. It's a monthly service. You pay per device. And it's integrated with XDR. Any telemetry you enable within Gravity Zone, our SOC can see it automatically. And we are not an alerting service. There's 3 ways to get this easily. We've got 3 bundles. All of these, this is basically self-managed response. This includes our managed security service or our security operations. This one is basically enables XDR telemetry as well. So very, very simple to get. You can talk to the partners here if you're interested at all. That is all I have.
I look after the global distribution partners for uSecure, and in turn the MSPs that sit with under them. We are completely channel focused. I don't know how many of you here use us, but we're UK based. We're founded out of Manchester. We've got a global presence across Asia, Australia, America, UK, Ireland, and EMEA. So we are definitely out there. We've been around about 6-7 years. We're a young, dynamic team, really enthusiastic. And then there's me, and that's not formatted properly. So I've been around in this industry for too long, about 25 years. And I've seen the landscape change. I'm sure many of you are. So I remember when we went from defence in depth to consolidated technologies, And the whole platform has just morphed over time, and I think the demands on the channel have changed. So what do? We then at USecure have developed a platform specifically for MSPs, so it's multi-tenanted, and we are looking at what you as MSPs need from a vendor. So as I say, times have changed now, security awareness is becoming more predominant, and I think people are realising you can have all the technology in the world, but if you've got a user sat at a desk that suddenly lets somebody in, it's like having a really good security system around your house, but leaving your front door open and your car's unlocked. So what we've done is we've looked at how users interact, and we have built this platform to reflect that. So it's a modular platform. The IT environments are really complex, and although you can have really good security teams, at the end of the day, if your end users don't know what they're doing, then they are your biggest security risk. So we like to think of it as turning your employees, staff into human firewalls. Again, as has been alluded to before, compliance is a big thing now. So quite often with cyber insurance, you need to prove that you're making your company as robust as possible, and that includes your users. Oh God, I'm really not technically. It's not working. Sorry about this.
Is it not advanced operating period?
I have the kiss of death on technology.
So,
We're gone one step two. Okay. So what we do as a vendor, we try and support our MSPs as much as we possibly can. So we offer pre-sales support, we offer marketing support, and we offer training, we will do demos for you, and we will work with you on any opportunity that you bring to us. What we like to pride ourselves on is our dynamic way that we work. So we offer flexible billing and licensing. So you can import one user, you can import 1,000 users. We really don't care. Billing is retrospective, and it's monthly, and it's dynamic. So you can have 500 users one month and 20 the next month. You will just get billed for your usage. What we like to work with MSPs is there are options. So we speak to partners that want to build us into a security stack, or we meet partners that just want to provide you secure, but they want to provide different flavors. So because of the way the platform is designed, you can pick which elements you want, and you can build them into whichever security stack is easier for you. So we're incredibly flexible. So these are just an example. You can build a starter package and then the premium package, where you can include all of our modules. So you can include security awareness, policy management, and threat protection, dark web monitoring. We've now enhanced on our platform an additional feature called UBreach Pro. So not only can we do a basic dark web monitoring of the users that are within a platform, we can now import all of the domain users. So if you've got a domain, we will tell you anybody that we found that has been breached on the dark web and the credentials that we have found, and we will expose part of those credentials. So you'll see if Jane is using the same username for every application or the same password, then you can remediate that. So we've listened to our customer base and what they need, and we've built this enhancement in, which then allows you as an MSP to upsell through that product line. So you can have a number of solutions. We try and make it as dynamic as possible, and we try and make the billing as easy as possible. You know, you guys don't want complicated products, and, you know, we've all worked in this industry long enough, and we've dealt with certain vendors that have one price for this band and another price for that band and another price for that band. We have 2 price bands. That's it. So as an MSP, you know what you're getting. And then whatever you want to turn that around to for your margin, for your additional managed services within security staff, you can apply that. We communicate with you along the way all the time. The team are on board permanently. We provide you a white labelled marketing pack if you want. So, you know, if you haven't got a dedicated marketing person, we know that's really hard. And we know there's a lot of you guys out there that are really technical and you know all your shit about stuff because that's what you do every day. But marketing, you know, and lead generation, that might be really tough for you. So what we do is we say, right, use us. We can do it for you. You give us your logos, your branding, and we will transform that into a beautiful marketing pack, email templates that you can send out. So it sounds really obvious, but not everybody provides it. So, you know, come to us. We've got an active roadmap. So we encourage our MSPs and users to put suggestions on that roadmap. Because as a company, we know this landscape is changing all the time. So we try and say, right, we can work with you if you tell us what you want. So I would encourage anybody that does use us, that doesn't know that we've got a roadmap, go on it. It's on the portal. Just Google roadmap, and not Google. Just put in roadmap and it will come up. And we will work with you to try and, you know, make the product bigger and better. We are offering a lovely prize today. So we have got some beautiful stickers of our little man called Cyberto, who I'm sure you've seen. If not, why not? So we've got little Irish Cyberto, which we've stuck around the venue downstairs. So for all of you avid fans, if you get photographs of where he is and post them on our LinkedIn page with a bit of a tag, you can win a Sonos soundbar, which you can take away today. So make it a bit of fun. Cybersecurity is quite boring most of the time, let's face it. So we just try and jazz it up a little bit. But what I must stress is that the platform is really intuitive. We've got 4 modules. We've got the e-learning modules. We combine that with phishing simulations, which we basically recommend to do every 3 months. That means your users are being tested. That then delivers the risk report, what they're doing. You can then tie that in with looking at the dark web monitoring that we do and say, how does this fit in with my security policies? We provide you security policies. There's a whole library. The key with all of these features is they're completely automated. So we can set you up within 15 minutes with a client and you can just run. And it literally is a fix and forget. You set the system running out and it automates everything. Learning goes out. The learning is developed for one person. That person does a gap analysis as soon as they're imported into the system. Then the results from that gap analysis will then tailor their training program. Not everybody is the same. Not everybody understands cybersecurity. One person might be really good at understanding password policies, how to do a big password, but they might be absolutely shocking at understanding when you're out and about working on Wi-Fi networks, what their security protocol should be. So we look at each individual, we design the courses for them, they're automatically sent out, they're automatically tested every quarter, and then you can tie that in with your policy management and say, you're not following our password policy. Here is the policy. They're automatically generated. You don't have to worry about sending out new contracts every year because we can do that for you. So we automate all of the document sending. And again, for auditing, for compliance, ISO, Cyber Essentials, you can sit your assessor down and say, this is all of our staff. These are the courses that we're constantly doing. These are the scores. You can see they're improving, or if they're not, we're addressing it. These are our policies. These policies have been signed then, and these are the versions. So everything is auditable and manageable and reportable. And that's what we like to do. Make your lives as easy as possible so you can get on with your day-to-day jobs and not worry about admin. And that is really secure. So I hope that makes sense. Come and see us and go and seek out Cyberto, and one of you can take home a soundbar. That's it from me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adele Caesar from Centripetal. I was going to ask who was trying to pronounce our brand name without telling you. I've had some interesting renditions over the morning, but I also know another company with a special pronunciation. I'm going to spend the next 10 to 12 minutes talking to you not just about the company, the technology, but this whole session is around the evolution of the channel and the change that's happened within the channel of MSCs. And the bit that I want to focus on specifically, and the bit that we're working with a lot of our partners on, is mindset and the cultural approach that we're taking to solve cybersecurity and trying to keep cybercrime at bay and fight the attackers that have no intention of stopping or slowing down in any capacity. So you're going to have to excuse me on some of the formatting here. I've just noticed that some of it's not quite loaded. From the get-go, from Centripetal as a vendor, the first thing that I'd like to position, which probably isn't going to load, is the channel deserves vendors that don't position the standard as the sublime. The vendors that you work with should be providing true partnerships. They should be providing portals. They should be providing training, commercial opportunities, and margin. That is standard. And the way that the channel has grown and the amount of vendors that are out there and the number of organizations that are all vying for your time, that should come as standard. So I really want to set the benchmark there. That is normal. The sublime comes in the value add. It comes in the next part. So cyber defense today, a number of my previous esteemed speakers have mentioned how we look at defense today. We load the rules, we wait. We wait for the breach. When we see the breach, we react quickly, but we react. So we wait, we react, we investigate, we keep looking, we keep searching, and then we fix it, then we update the rules, and then we cross our fingers and hopefully the rules have worked and the breach doesn't happen again, which undoubtedly does, and we start the cycle again. The mindset piece that I want to look at around that is, what if we don't have to do it like that? What if we don't have to do it in that order? Intelligence-powered cybersecurity, which is what we offer at Centripetal, really focus on the word intelligence. We're using it a different way of looking at it. Threat intelligence providers is not a new concept, but there's hundreds of them, absolutely hundreds of them. Some of them there are shown on the screen. There's a 3% overlap. So there'll be a number of organizations say, oh, we have the threat intel, we've got a feed, you've got one feed. These feeds at times can be almost 6 figures to deploy. Intelligence-powered cybersecurity is, with the 14-year-old company that's Centripetal is, over $200 million in R&D and an abundance of patents, has gone, what if we take all of those threat intelligence and put them together and deploy a global policy that could work? And what if we do that at the edge? What if we don't do this on a device by device by device? But what if we stop them because we take all that intelligence and make a decision at the gate, at the get-go, based on a number of variables? What if we look at it and go, that's possibly from a sanctioned country? Or actually, that's possibly coming from an IP that we don't trust. Actually, that's trying to attack a port that we need to be a little bit mindful. And what if we change the mindset in how we address cybersecurity? That was the first thing. Like I said, the company's been running for about 14 years. Heavy base over in the US, with our European headquarters, or EMEA headquarters, on the west coast of Ireland over at Galway, which is where I and my colleagues who are downstairs on booth 5 are all based. As we started talking to market and talking to the partners we work with and some of the end users we work with across a number of industries, defense in depth came up, right? It's a well-known concept. It's something that many of you who've been in this industry a bit longer than I have for sure. This is what we're doing at the moment, right? This is where it all sits. The last 5 that we see here, we're kind of going, all of these have alerts, all of these are having the little flag go up. It's still in the SOCs, it's still in the scenes, it's still in your data lake. You're also paying to store them as well, by the way. Go back to that intelligence concept of stopping it from the get-go, would that reduce the downstream noise and the impact? And the reality is, if we don't wait, if we don't be reactive, if we don't cross our fingers and hope for the best, or indeed try and play whack-a-mole down here, we could be preemptive on it. Truly preemptive, not proactive. Proactive is fast. Preemptive is forward. what if we could put intelligence, watching for ETDs, reconnaissance, suppression, shielding as a managed service before in the security stack? Spoke to a lady downstairs, and she asked specifically Clean Internet as a concept, our intelligence cloud cybersecurity. Where does it sit topology-wise? Well, it sits in front of the file. Shock. Would it be like in front? In front. Then yes, in front. So there was a mindset piece about that, but I did premise the conversation with that idea. So where I believe and where we're beginning to see the change and the evolution of the channel is in the mindset. This isn't a more and more vendors filling the market, more and more solutions going on. It's continuing to play whack-a-mole. Is it how do we think about security differently? And we're seeing that deployed with some of our end users. But then what does that mean for the MSPs of this world, or indeed the MSSPs of this world? Both those that are currently operating in that space and those that have ambitions to get to that space. And they won't, this might not work. This is what we're seeing. It's almost like a volume mark, right? It goes up and down. We're seeing all these alerts come through. How do we manage them? How do we get more customers? The last thing we need is another product. There's going to be another alert. I don't want to give you any more alerts. I feel like you probably guys don't keep enough out to see. So as these continue to jump, what I would like to do is suggest that we have the conversation to help our partners put Clean Internet at gates, at the edge, and reduce the noise downstream. Not only have you reduced the noise downstream, but we've dealt with all the things that the threat intelligence that exists out there has already told us is not good news. 95% of breaches had known threat intelligence. It was known. And whilst, as you heard, my title, I'm in marketing, so there's an argument to say proactive, preemptive, and there's one of the say, was it really going to make a difference? This is a real life example. MoveIt happened globally last year, but there was big coverage of it here in Ireland. This is an exact example of what we saw. So the CVE was published on day 0 in this instance, right? And what I wanted to show you was, if we scroll back at minus 90 days, that's when Clean Internet was able to identify the IOCs that grew to become the CVE that we now know to be MoveIt. But we addressed it there. We didn't wait for the jigsaw puzzles to all fall in place for us to see the full picture and go, oh, it's a vulnerability. That looked dodgy, that looks dodgy, let's just move them out of the way. A very similar chart can be seen for the Log4Shell vulnerability that took place a few years ago. And very, very similar to that, will you see... Oh, it didn't click. For the Palo Alto vulnerability that took place last week. So, thank you, it's jumped too quick. Give me time. A quick session. Was mindful I was 5 of 5, wanted to fulfill to you guys, but preemptive protection, I genuinely believe will be quick and sure cybersecurity. I think we will begin to see it be demanded of end users, and they will come to you, their trusted advisors in MSP and MSSP land, to fix that. And so the products that we spend time developing and continuing to develop will hopefully allow us to address them. Very short, very sweet. Like I said, it was mindset, culture of how we're addressing cybersecurity and how we think the MSPs can be involved in that, given we're 100% channel. That really is all I have to say. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite up all of our speakers back, and we'll have a Q&A on this, because I'm sure there are a lot of questions. We've had a lot of different approaches, and we've had some of it kind of end user focused, and then some of it kind of industry focused as well, because all of these things are having an impact in how the channel handles these services and how they're provided. So if we could get everybody back up. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of seating. So, we do have some in the high stools here. But just to kind of take things off a little bit, Daniel, on your presentation, you were talking about some of the role areas, and managed detection and response was one of the key role areas. So, why do you think that that is going to be one of the biggest was areas that they were seeing in this scene generally. And what does that mean for managed services in this area?
Well, personally, I think out speaking to businesses and customers, there's been a huge drive on the amount of accountability that they have to have, and that's driving the amount of resources that they need to bring in-house. It used to be having an IT team, then it's moved on from that to a wealth of resources that need to be able to cater, to be able to keep up to speed with compliance, insurance, and that's that I've seen directly impacting the partners that we work with, the workload that they have, and the fact that they're doing more on consultancy side, more advisory side than it would have been just simply, providing a service. So that's what's driving. That's what I've seen myself.
Very good. Okay. And Lorna, coming to one of your points, you said that part of what you're doing was examining patterns of behavior and making sure that you can identify how people are interacting with systems, how they're using these things. Is there much pushback, do you find, from users when it is highlighted to them that's the 15th time you've used that password, or we still don't like that password even though it's your pet? Is there pushback from the users, and how is that handled as you're trying to ensure correct use and best practice?
We don't get that much negativity, to be fair. I think a lot of people are just naive, and you have to work on the basis ignorance isn't actually bliss. And I think once you explain why, and because of the reporting capabilities that we can do, we can say that this is happening. You probably don't realise that you've used this password on this many applications, because we've all done it. I know I have. And I think it's more of a realisation and that light bulb moment where they go, oh yeah, I'm actually making a difference. And then when you go in to explain to them, the reason why we're saying this is because if you do, if this is picked up on the dark web, somebody could use this. And it's not just you it's protecting, it's the company and the reputational damage and the cost. And I think then there's that realisation where actually you're not just picking on them and making them feel stupid. You're actually trying to say, we're trying to, secure your job, because if we go, if something really bad happens, it can have a detrimental effect on everybody. So I think there's that knock-on mindset. And you've got to build a culture of learning. Cyber has got to be one of the most evolving environments that I've ever worked in. I started back in about 1997, and it's just transformed over the last sort of 30 years. And I'm still learning. Every day it's going down. And I think that's what we've got to remember, that, what we all take for granted because we're in this industry, other people don't. And I always like to try and explain it like you would explain it to me now, because then they will understand it. And that's the approach. But we rarely get negative to see.
Good. Okay. Any questions or comments?
It's hard to get a speech about here. How are you guys going to approach the leaders that landline of next year? Maybe to your clients, the Microsoft, they're going to provide, obviously, additional work for you probably, 14th of October, 2025 is the deadline. And as the conversation going, if it has started to, back to the store.
Very, very good question. So end of life in terms of an operating system, there's always a little gap where standard security tools will work for a while, and then you start to go into custom support, things like that. Not everyone can afford it. And so it's a good question. Who would like to take that first?
It's always a challenge. I know Bitdefender's stance is that we support what Microsoft supports, but I also know that legally we have to do that. But I know that you can call our support and get older versions of our software that still work. Now, what's interesting about that is, I think last year, there was some updates that we had to do to our internal engine so that all of our communication is encrypted. So that's part of our SOC 2 Type 2 audited kind of platform. And we did have to force our user base to upgrade our own agent primarily for encrypted communication, which, what was that? Yeah. Yep. And so that creates problems for us as a vendor. It's more from a security perspective, not necessarily from an operational support perspective. But like Microsoft always will do, you can pay a fee and you can continue to use their product for as long as you'll pay them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the industry. But there's always cycles that we go through that with upgrading. So that's my thing on it. It's always around.
He's like, I'm not working here. Anybody else like that saying this point? Okay, well, maybe Michael, coming back to your points, and again, you know, from something Lorna was saying, well, when you're in the industry, you can't be a little bit immersed. You can kind of forget sometimes some of the basics. The analogy you use of the cards were open. What are the most common omissions or overlooked things that you see? Because everybody who has been in the industry for a while, you know, they think of the basics that they lock down.
Yeah.
But there are obviously blind spots. What are the common ones that you see?
I'll give you my favorite because in 2022, I did a little research project about ransomware. It wasn't over here, but it was in the United States. So we did a little research project, which was how did ransomware get into organizations that were highly publicized. So our food distribution system was disrupted, our oil and gas was disrupted. There were a lot of major breaches back then. And we all know that email is probably the easiest way to get ransomware into your system. But do you know the second way? It's actually built into every single Windows system. So we talk a lot about passwords and password management. There is an anonymous guest account that is part of every single Windows system globally, which means that it is a legitimate account and has no password associated with it. And you know how ransomware got into all of those, every single 100% of those environments was through that anonymous guest account. So there is a legitimate account that bypasses all of your firewalls, all of your network security controls. It does not have a password. And so that's probably, in Bitdefender, it's called the insecure guest on account. So that is probably the easiest way for you to remediate that particular gaping hole in your environment, because all the criminals know that it's there. It's always turned on. I've yet to find an environment that does not have anonymous guest accounts disabled. That's probably the easiest way for you to close a very large door in your customer's business, is just disable that account. It's a group policy setting. That's all you got to do. So, wow, that's one. That's quite a one. Yeah, it's normally when I'm speaking on this stage, there's normally people with their laptops open and we're searching for that account. It is,
if you wish to do that now.
yes, so yeah, that would be the easiest one to remediate very quickly. That, and there's a couple of other ones that you could do, making sure you're patched. That's still a problem. It's always an operational problem to patch. And then password management. Forcing two-factor authentication is really really important. So there's a bunch. Email's one, but anyway. Yeah.
There's a lot of chatter about two-factor authentication, and that's saying that would be the preferred take anymore. Any comments on those? Or is that just...
It's problematic for users primarily, but the downside is that most user passwords can be cracked within milliseconds with modern technology. So it's really important to have some additional security associated with passwords. That's just I feel like.
There's one thing that I would add in, and it's not on the technical side. I mean, I'm on the sales side of the business. It's more from a relationship perspective for businesses that have an MSP or a partnership with a business, is to actually to listen to the advice. And that sometimes is the blind spot. You've got a team that are coming to these events, that are working close with vendors, that are training up, all of the time to keep on top of the technology for you. And sometimes they're advising on something, and it's decided not to take that advice, and then later down the line, if you had to listen to that, it would have maybe avoided a breach or that kind of thing. So I do see a lot of that, and it's definitely an advice. A lot of the time you're paying these guys in the first place, so it's good to listen to them.
And could you go back to one of the points you made about releasing expertise away from managing the 365 environment? Looking at that kind of further upstream slightly, is there an assumption that 365 is easier to manage than it actually is when organizations take it on board? Is there perhaps a misconception about what they're taking on the management side?
Yes, 100%. The expectation is as easy to manage. I cast mine back to trying to get technical resource. How many of you here find it easy to gain technical resource? It's tough, isn't it? Now, in a pandemic, you talk about ransomware. The threat actors, we all thought ransomware would exponentially grow by 5 times. It did not grow one single percentage because they struggled to get any more technical resource than we could, legitimate. So these big people coming out of university, they're at threat to go to the threat actors, those aspects. So those technical resources are not just prolific. They're not coming out all the times. We're not attractive enough now, I think, as an industry to bring these people into our side. So that perception is, this is easy. Lots of vendors are guilty of this. Hopefully none of us on this stage to say, our product's so simple. Look, go and use it. And you get it in and you suddenly realize, this is difficult. We need a training budget. We need to be comprehensively in touch with this. So you've got to create products that are simple to use because we are not growing tenfold the amount of technical people out there.
Yeah. And in terms then of when you go in and you assess somebody's estate and their configuration on similar to Microsoft, what are the kinds of things that you find that are typical or kind of either pain points or errors, omissions, misconfigurations?
Let me put that into an analogy of a login script. When someone joins an organization, look at a login script. Now, what happens to that script? When was it started? It was started maybe 10 years ago. Someone comes in, looks at it going, God, I'm not going to touch it. I'll add on to it. I'll add on to it and I'll add on to it. And someone laughed over this, exactly what I was saying on that. So that ability to come in and go, I'm going to redress, I'm going to go back to basics and start from scratch. It's too big. So where do we start? So having technologies like all our others up there to simplify that has to be the most common sense approach to it. Because no one's going to go through 50 pages of login scripts profiles to say, John wrote that 10 years ago and he's dead. So what do we do? It's looking for printers that no longer exist and are no longer supported.
Yeah.
So that's the analogy I'd put forward to that in terms of that's what we're all dealing with. We're going into environments where you don't know what they've done. You don't know what doors they've opened. By having a technology that can show that clearly and then secure it clearly makes life easier.
Definitely something like ASCOM, software building materials, and get it in to identify, how to find, different types of processes or correcting in your heat. So, it's the code base that you'll be changing this in product. chain these are the overriding dimensions in this. So
But yeah, it's all about that discovery element, knowing of what's there and what it's doing. So certainly that's a good point. And but I suppose coming to you, Adele, what you've described in terms of what you're offering sound marvelous. And it sounds almost too good to be true. But you're doing it. So when you come up against that, how do you kind of step back a little bit and come out again? Because even the array of sources they put up there, everybody who's familiar with probably 8% of it. In describing what you're doing and particularly the preemptive element of it, just kind of revisit that for us and what it means.
Absolutely. There's an element of seeing is believing. I don't expect to show one slide, everyone's got superb, we're going to put clean internet in front of our firewall. The trials that we've done with customers, it's been exactly that, where we've got testimonials from university, from healthcare providers, from professional services firms going, that's a 98% reduction in my SIEM logs. What? Why didn't the phone ring yesterday? Why didn't I see an alert? Why? It is perceived as too good to be true until you indeed try it. And so that's what we offer, that's what we see. And I think that's why I position today as it is a mindset thing. You kind of go, really? Can you take 300 feeds and bundle them together and take that global intelligence and filter the packets and the world's fastest method? And you can do all of that and you push down a global policy and it updates within minutes. Really? Yeah. You just have to see it.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Any more questions?
and like not from just letting them know and Windows Hello. Besides, so yes, Windows Hello is a great feature if you haven't fully changed your server or to your organization yet, where you can add if you're renting your computers cameras something like you already told exit keys when you get back to your computer and you go on the screens and that authenticates your desktop based on the console that happens with your things, and it helps passwords and also it enables it as well to have multiple forms verifying and validating yourselves first when you're going back to your computer, so that when you have to step away there is a button on it where it's dynamic up and you compare your phone first. So when you walk away to your desk, you invert to more cybersecurity threats happening. Trying to say if we're in finance going for coffee in the middle of an office, you step away to the desk, you can text your away, locks your screen. So it's really handy and it's really good. If there you will out in front of you.
It's a fair point, and to be honest, if you had told me 5 years ago that we would still be standing here talking about the following passwords, to be honest, I would have been a bit skeptical. But here we are, and it's still a significant thing. So certainly the multi-dimensional element of the recognition, so the fact that they're using visible light and infrared, and can combine elements of those in is certainly interesting, but it's not there yet. You know, it's not comprehensive enough yet to go beyond passwords yet. I can't believe that we're still. But thank you very much to everybody. We'll probably wrap it there. But what I'll get you to do is, in terms of speaking to your partners, to the channel, maybe one key bit of advice from each from your own respective products. So,
I know you were going to pick me first. I'll have to pick for the. Any channel partners out there, you've been around long enough to know, but I think communication is key. And for us, we like to build the relationship. So we don't just want to build the relationship and they see it at the top level. We want to build the relationship through you all. So, my recommendation is clear, precise communication and build that relationship, because we want to be trusted and we want you to trust us. So that would be my biggest thing. Just talk to us.
Very good.
Yeah, I guess mine would be for those channel partners or those that are working with end users that have got aspirations to do more and be more, but with limited budgets and less technical expertise, maybe start to think differently.
Mine is very simple. Keep an open mind to new technologies, because that square wheel could absolutely be a round wheel that really takes your firefighting away and makes you strategic and makes you more money. So don't be a closed mind to technologies coming along.
Very good.
I think it kind of leads into that, and what I was saying earlier is to listen to your trusted advisors and take the advice on board, because they're the ones that are training up on us. And from a Sonic Wall perspective, come and talk to us directly as well. We're very, our core is secure efficacy and total cost of ownership. So we hope that would be evident in the products and services that you look at through us.
Great.
I would say, just like you do with your customers, and that is come alongside them and partner with them really well. I think Bitdefender is, what I've admired about them is they're truly concerned about security, and they are willing to walk with you through your security journey, because I really think to operationalize it well, it's a long-term project. But as long as you stick with it and you are methodical about it, I think we can work really well to learn how you so.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention and all the questions. And just a reminder that all of our expertise is going to be down on the floor. So if you have a question you prefer to ask maybe as a one-to-one basis, please do take advantage of that. But hopefully we've given you quite a number of views there, but everybody providing real practical support, both in terms of the end users and working with serve. So hopefully it's been a useful session. So thank you very much.